Pacific Northwest, and it looks like rain's coming up starting next week. So our nice weather party might be ending here pretty rapidly. So, hey, let's just, I just want to jump in on our quick Monday update. I think we posted about doing 3 different things we wanted to cover today. Talking a little bit about 2021 predictions for next year. The first forecast is out, so we'll talk about that. We're going to do that one last because that's the fun one. A little bit of iBuyers. What are those, and what does that mean? And is this a good thing or not? We'll talk about that a little bit. And then also kind of what's causing the frenzy and sort of what's kind of root cause. Some of it's super obvious, but a couple little interesting takes that I thought kind of popped up. So that's what we're going to cover. I promise I'll be faster than last week. So here we go. Let's just jump right in with kind of the usual, corny little, hey, Jeff, how's the market? So going right in, lockbox activities. Every time Jeannie and I open up a door for people showing them a house, it registers, basically one hit. So here's your weekly trend. We're down 4%, which basically I think is going to start signaling kind of the beginning of perhaps the regular seasonality kicking in. But with this being the COVID year, who knows? If you look back to kind of the second blip on the chart all the way to the left, we are above last year's pace still slightly. So it's been an interesting market. It's we're above pace. We are slowing down. We'll see where it kind of goes from here. So that was the Portland side. Meanwhile, across the river in Washington, same thing. They're down, but only slightly. If you remember from last week, though, they had a pretty big percentage drop, more like a 6%, 5%. So it's tapered down. They're about on pace for where they were last year. So, no big surprise over on the Washington side. I will say there's still a lot of activity happening on that side of the river. I know we've been very busy on the Washington side here lately. I think somewhat because of housing availability, housing prices. It could just be the random mix of who's calling us. But anyway, they're down, about on track from last year. So all things are good, unless you want to factor in the fact that in both markets you had sort of that cratering in the early spring related to the COVID lockdown. So to be on pace from last year means you still have a big hole in your market. And clearly that's what we're seeing with frenzies and pricing and everything else. So before we jump into some of the other topics, this is just one that I like to show because if we can find good news in this crazy world right now as it relates to real estate, I want to show it. And I say good news, I mean, besides everybody's prices are going vertical, loan forbearances are down again. So we're below the $3 million mark. It's a 17% drop. And this represents, I believe, about 5.5% of all outstanding mortgages. So whereas we had been up around 8, 9, 10% of mortgages in forbearance, we're now down at about 5.5 or so. And this continues to be a steady march down. So that is very good news. In some cases, some of these are probably heading into a foreclosure environment, but I believe the majority of them is people have just sort of worked through their short-term challenges and just the program is simply lapsed and everything's good. So we're going to focus on those people because that's the happier one. But irregardless, it's still good news just to see that trend coming down. So let's kind of jump into discussions of the frenzy. Obviously I'm looking at economist websites and news sites and other things strictly geared towards real estate, but you can go on CNN or the Oregonian, or you go on any kind of website, whatever news source you like, and you'll see all these same types of headlines. Home sales are soaring; they're up 9.5%. We've got here's the 9.5%, but our price is going too fast. The supply is tight, and it's the overall concern. Oh, there we go. Delete the wrong one. All right, anyway. But there's a little bit of concern about what's happening with pricing, and then our price is going up too high. And when they say that, what they're talking about specifically is not so much from an inflationary standpoint, but just from an affordability, particularly on first-time home buyers. It's making it tougher for them. And obviously now we're starting to kind of see, I kind of call them the doomsday articles. Everything's doing great, best in a decade, but how long can we stay hot? It's so scary. Are we going to see these declines coming? What's happening here? We're 77% of metros are double-digit home price gains. The interesting one, as you want to look at this, for home gains, 77% of metro. So, pick one. It's probably on the list, right? Because not that many of them are not up double digits. One of the top spots in Oregon, per this article anyway, is Salem, which doesn't surprise me. You've got a huge state government infrastructure for jobs and all the ancillary services that are based down there. Their home prices have been extremely affordable in the whole Salem Kaiser area, and it has been a brush fire. So those in the Portland area who can recall not that long ago when we used to refer to Milwaukee as the Felony Flats, and then Milwaukee got the Max line, and it's become a boom town, and it's a fantastic neighborhood, a fantastic area to live in, and it's been high demand. Its price has been keeping up. Salem's been the same thing. That became sort of the new fun point. People saying, "Hey, I can't afford Portland. I can't afford Tualatin. Sure, I can't afford Milwaukee now." So we've had people looking pretty regularly. Let's go down to Salem. Let's look in the Kaiser area. Let's see where else can we go to get affordable pricing. So Salem's been blowing up. They're up. Salem was up, I think, a little over 60% on their equity values of their homes. So crazy little micro market down there. So a lot of stuff is happening. Obviously, it's kind of remained a kind of a crazy world. And then, with this now, you've got home prices are going up. And what's happening, and this is where that article I showed earlier talking about, our price is too hot, and all that kind of fun stuff. This is becoming kind of a market of the haves and the have-nots. So what it's saying basically is people who are suffering through the unemployment and so forth from COVID typically tend to not be home buyers, or they're the younger population. So as prices now become more exacerbated because of limited supply, we don't have enough inventory for homes for sale, homes period. And then add to that, people aren't selling their houses in as great numbers as previously, because you'll have some who say, I just don't want potentially sick people coming through my house and creating that kind of a risk. So they're just not listing their home. So prices, it's supply, demand. You hear this from me every week, supply and demand. It says that prices are going to go astronomically higher, and they do. It makes it hard for those first-time buyers now. So the first-time home buyer, I think it typically runs like a 36, 37% of home sales go to first-time buyers, and we're down more like 30% right now. So the first-time buyers are getting squeezed. Prices are ballooning. So you see these sales, it sounds dramatic. Sales of $1 million homes. Well, you look around, whether it's the New England states, Seattle, certain areas here around Portland, your $1 million homes are everywhere. So it's these are those prices are being pushed up high, but it's also more of a function of people are saying, I've been largely unaffected by COVID for some folks, and so it's kind of created sort of this dichotomy of the market where it's the two different universes. So that's an interesting one to watch. That's the concerning part for me to watch, is that squeeze in the first time buyers, those entry level price points. It makes it super tough. Now, what's creating the frenzy? This article came out, and here's the quote that I kind of liked. The low interest rates are the big motivator, and that's the no-brainer, right? As mortgage rates are cheap like they are right now, things are more and more affordable. But beyond that, you've got people say, I need a home office. I need room for my kids now to do school. And hopefully this is the last school year we have to deal with that one. But people are recognizing the value of the home, right? And if things go wrong, when things go wrong, if this ever happens again, kind of thing, I need a house that supports my family the way we need to live and want to live. So the home has become an even more critical piece of family infrastructure, if you will. Second to that, now you've got a lot of people now who, for the past, most of this year now, have said, I'm not going on vacations. I'm not going out to dinner. I'm not going to the movies. I'm not doing a lot of things. And they realize they're saving a fortune, sadly, because you're missing out on life experiences, but they're saving a lot of money. So you've had a lot of people now say, hey, I've been able to save up for that down payment or save for other things. I'm buying a house, man. It's time. It's ready. Whether it's you're buying first house or, hey, I can move up in the world now because I've readjusted kind of that family budget. Let's figure out a way to, kind of this last line, Let's go buy a home that makes our socially distant lifestyles more comfortable. That quote sucks. I hate it. It's depressing. It makes me want to cry, but it's the reality of where we're at. So you've had a lot of people saying this is going to be our new norm for short term, long term. Who knows? Will we see it again down the road? And mortgage rates are this cheap? Yeah, this is the time to jump. And goes back, if you recall last week, I talked about kind of that opportunity knocking. Rates are historic lows. There's maybe some room for them to go down a little bit more. Maybe there's absolutely room for them to go up. So if you're looking to time something, I think we're in that window of opportunity. I don't think it's a short window, which is the good news. This is definitely not a message of if you don't act now, you're going to miss out. We got time, but keep an eye on it because it's going to be moving. And then also, I saw some other articles that were kind of talking about what are people looking for as they're going off to buy their houses, kind of what's next. And obviously I didn't grab the top three, so I'll say the top three of the top four. And I chose these simply because, the top four is pretty good. And these are ones that Jeannie and I hear regularly from a lot of people here lately. They want a bigger backyard. They want a better backyard. They need some kind of functional home office or a classroom for the kids. Or in this case, because we've got such a migration now to enhanced work from home environments, you've now have gone from, hey, I can work from home, so that's great. But the problem, because my house already had a home office, so we're all good. A lot of houses have that extra, whether it's a den or an extra bedroom that you use as an office. Now both spouses can do it. I need two offices or two dens, or and so people are struggling. And then the last one is, the home gym. People realize my gym's not open, or they are open, but now it's on a reservation system, and people are just nervous. I have to go in there and work out and wearing a mask. I got to do the elliptical with the mask, or the spin bike, or whatever you're going to do. And people have said, forget it. I'm just going to, I want room for a gym at home. And you're seeing that in other places in the news where for a long time, if you went on, Amazon or Dick's Sporting Goods or some of these other places, like weight benches and plate weights, things like dumbbells, were sold out. So people are buying the home gyms. Peloton had to tell people, of all things, I can't take your order because we can't produce these things fast enough right now. So Peloton has blown up, and seriously, go buy that bike. It's amazing. So there's a big focus. And like I said, and this is not just news articles. Jeannie and I see this all the time. We've got active clients right now who have said, hey, the home I'm in right now does not have a good backyard. I need one. I need to entertain my kids. They need to have some kind of a activity space. So I need to buy a house. We've got clients who've said, because of this pandemic, we've recognized family's more important than anything else, and we need to move back and be closer to family. And I want to have a great backyard. And hey, if I can get a swimming pool back there, swimming pool sales are up. Jeannie had that stat the other day, and I forget the number, exorbitantly high. So it's the shift to the lifestyle now that people are driving. And again, we hear this all day long. So when we see in the news press, it's not even a stretch of the imagination for us. And so I want to go back on that one article. There was that headline of sales are booming, prices are all up, but how long can prices stay hot, or how long can it look like this? There's an economist called Len Kiefer. I follow him on Twitter. If you're looking for something to help you fall asleep, unless you really like this stuff, Len's a great guy. He basically, he's kind of sharing, if you look at, say, September over September last year, we're double digits, way up. Things are amazing. Oh my gosh, what an extraordinary market. But he's basically looking at saying, but if you take the full year, as is, factoring in the COVID blip, we're about on track to where we should be anyway. It's just we had that big delay in the middle. It's thrown us off centered, but from a volume standpoint kind of thing, in terms of quantity of home selling, we're not that far off, or it's not really out of the realm. It's just now you got the gas on the fire of supply and demand, and prices are going through the moon because suddenly you've got a big surge, and some people have just sort of stopped. Now, the good news then on the supply side is residential construction starts. This is on a national basis. You probably can't see it, but it's a little faint, little baby blue line. The permits are up. The starts are kind of hanging in there. But your permits are definitely trending upward. So people recognize the fact we need more homes. This is a function of there's just not enough physical houses to sell. This came from the Great Recession, and it's gas on a fire now. People really want a home more than ever. So again, you hear me say this all the time. I don't see this getting better anytime soon. So how's that for a segue now to, hey, but what about 2021? What are people saying? Well, the forecasts are out. And the first forecast from the Mortgage Banker Association is they're forecasting an 8.5% increase next year. I don't think I did not load up the little snippet I wanted to load up, but it kind of went on to say that with rates staying low and forecasted to stay maybe not as low as they are right now, but within that realm of ridiculously low, that you're going to see a continuation of demand for housing even after the election, even after we get COVID under control, even after everything else. It's going to be an ongoing demand. So they're basically forecasting a nice increase next year. Their caveat here was especially the second half of next year is when they're saying to look for the big boom of surging prices, market, and everything else. And my guess is that that's going to relate to we've gotten past the election and whatever craziness comes after the election of trying to either continuation of an administration or an installation of a new administration. All that'll be past us. And probably I'm going to assume the other part of the equation then is they're assuming that COVID will be under control, and that'll be yesterday's story come the second half of next year. And now you're going to have more of that rush of people off buying homes yet again, because now they feel a little bit more relaxed. It's a little bit more opened up. You probably have more houses hitting the market, so inventory should come back to normal. Again, last month we were at 1.1 months of inventory in Portland. It's never been this low. I'll be curious to see what the October stats are when we get those here in a couple of weeks to see, does it get a little better? Do we go to 0 point something? Who knows? But I think everything starts to correct next year. So that's kind of the good news there. So that's your market forecast, if you will, for next year. Continuation. Don't look for any relief in sight. Again, if you're looking to time the market to catch a blip, you're losing that bet. It's going to pick up even more next year. Mortgage rates are low. I think once we get past the election, you're going to start seeing rates trending slightly higher and higher. Prices are definitely going to keep going. So yes, you can wait, but I think the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you both in price and rates on your mortgage. So that said, now let's talk about one last thing that I shared, and this is a term that maybe means something to you, maybe it doesn't, but iBuyer, basically just your internet buyer is all it really stands for. And these are things like, Zillow will offer to buy your home, Open Door, I think Purple Bricks. I don't know if Purple Bricks is one of them, but there's a lot of these. Basically, it's a company you can submit your home online. They'll do sort of a virtual assessment of your home. They'll make you a cash offer for your house, kind of thing. And they talk about, hey, the selling point here is it's quick, it's easy, and they go on to make comments about, hey, these horrible real estate people, they can charge up to 7% on commissions, and we're only going to charge like 3 or 4%. So isn't that better? We're cheaper. And a couple of thoughts. When everything kind of started grinding down a little bit with COVID, the iBuyers just literally woke up one day and said, nope. We're exiting the business, for now. And if you were in mid-transaction with them, it's too bad. And they just cut ties. And so we had a lot of people get turned sideways because they just get dumped in the streets in the middle of a sale. They've already started moving out. So there's certainly risk that these companies are not consistent with what they do. And now let's talk about the cost. They're going to talk about it. They're going to charge a lower fee, if you will, for that compared to real estate agents. And that upfront fee is absolutely less. But then they're also going to start tacking on convenience fees, I believe is what most of them are calling them. They are going to do their own assessment of what repairs need to be done to your home, and they're going to charge you a flat percentage for those, with or without true contractor pricing kind of factored in. And in all cases, you don't have an option to even respond to it. If they tell you, hey, I'm paying this price for your house, and you're going to pay me this fee. Here's all your convenience fees. And by the way, it's $12,000 for repairs that need to be done. There's no negotiation. That's the deal. Take it or leave it. And so your power becomes that much less in terms of negotiating the right deal. And then sort of the fly in the ointment is these people cannot go off and buy your house and then turn around and list it for sale, which is all they do. They're basically a flipper without fixing up the homes. They can't do that if they're making full price offers. So they're coming in basically saying, here's what your home is worth. And yes, it's a little bit low from the market rates, but we'll talk about, it's the convenience, it's the safety and security. You don't have to have people coming through your home. You don't have to mess with the disruption in your life. And now factor on fees that will run higher. They will run into the 13, 14, 15% fees. And it's a money loser. So in some cases, maybe it makes sense to entertain this option in terms of looking to sell a home. But I can almost certainly promise you, especially in a market like this, you're better off working with wonderful people like Jeannie or I. Jeannie, I guess I'm here for the ride. So just keep that in mind. If that thought ever kind of enters your head, if you get an unsolicited offer and you think, maybe it's worth thinking about doing, I may go that route. Just do me one favor, call us and let us give you our thoughts on your home. If it looks like they're giving you a good deal, even with different fees, I will tell you. But I'm willing to bet $1 to a donut right now. It's not going to be the right decision for you. It's just the math. It's not going to work. All right, that's it. I'm not even shorter than last week. All right, sorry. I got to start talking less. All right, have a good week. If you have any questions about anything that's been covered, like always, call, text, email, post it on here. Otherwise, have a good week. Thanks, everyone.